I was born in Cincinnati and I've lived here my whole life. A lot of people like to complain about Cincinnati and Ohio in general, but I've always liked it. I lived with my mom, my dad, and my older brother in Hyde Park until 2004. From there we moved closer to the Anderson area where I began school. I went to a very small Catholic school in a very small town. I went there from kindergarten all the way until 8th grade. I never liked school growing up, and I mean I really didn't like school. Not in the same way that people say, ugh, I hate school, because they got a 90% instead of 100%. I mean I really hated school. I ran track for a few years during middle school, but quickly got bored when it became a little too competitive and a lot less fun. After 8th grade, I went to high school at McNicholas in Mount Washington. High school was very scary for me because I graduated 8th grade with a class of 7 and only ever hung out with kids from my neighborhood, so I didn't even know how to make friends at school. High school was a very dark and scary time for me. In the first month of freshman year, I had to take a week off and go to a psych ward. Like I said, I hated school. This would happen on and off throughout high school as I was terribly depressed the whole time. I was also dating a girl from middle school who we will talk about later. In sophomore year of high school, I joined track. I lasted 3 days before I realized I was not doing that every day after school. By the second half of senior year, after spending the last 3.5 years begging, they let me be the first student at McNicholas to finish out my credits online. I graduated high school, got my diploma, and went off to UC the next fall. This is when my girlfriend at the time began cheating on me. So with hating school, being in a toxic relationship, and being on my own for the first time, life was a disaster. Halfway through freshman year, during winter break, I decided it would be a good idea to attempt to drive to Ohio University at 3 a.m. after a full night of heavy drinking. As this was the straw that broke the camel's back, my parents, my therapist, and the courts decided I needed to go to emotional rehabilitation program for 6 months. For the first 3 months, I was in the deserts of Utah. I lived outside for 3 months, cooking my own food, making my own fire, sleeping under the stars, freezing in the night, and backpacking all day, day after day. The next 3 months was an inpatient rehabilitation program. I lived in a big house with a bunch of other guys, and we went to the inpatient center every day for the whole day. After that, I came back home and began sophomore year. The first semester was okay. I only failed one class, and by my standards, that's pretty good. Then second semester started, and so did COVID quickly after. I caught COVID about 2 weeks after our spring break was extended, and was bedridden for about a week and a half. I did my best to finish my classes to the best of the ability. Then I took a few summer classes, and now we're here.